Vicky Marie, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm in mainland Spain. It is 11:03 in the morning, and it's Monday morning. So happy Monday. I know a lot of people don't like Mondays, do they? That's why they wrote a song about it. Anyway, we're going to have a positive Monday, aren't we? So today I'm going to talk about this beautiful woman, a young woman, 30 years old, in the top top right hand corner of the screen, depends which way you're looking at it. And this is Mica Francis, or Mica Miller, really, because she was still married to her husband, JP, John Paul Miller. But a lot of people like to refer to her by her maiden name, Francis, because she had just filed divorce papers against him. He is just what the name stands for, JP. Anyway, I'm not going to say what I normally call him. I'll try and be good to start off with this morning. Anyway, she took her own life, very sadly, it seems. In a minute, I'm going to read out to you the police report that was originally released when this happened, when this very sad event happened. But of course, there's been a lot of controversy. Did she take her own life? Was anybody else complicit in it? Was she pushed into it? I call it death by slow motion, when you just chip away at someone for so many years that in the end they take their own life. But is that like really manslaughter? Anyway, we're going to talk about her because somebody very kindly sent me the affidavit that JP Miller, who was a pastor, I don't know if he's still a pastor or not, supposedly a man of God, turned out he'd been abusing Mica, stalking her, lots of horrible things that he'd been doing in the run-up to her sad death. Somebody sent me recently, John Paul and Mica's family came to an agreement because Mica's family had started legal proceedings against him. Anyway, they have come to an agreement, and somebody sent me John Paul Miller's affidavit, that he had presented to the court in the hearing that they had. Now, whatever happened behind closed doors in that hearing, they came to some sort of an arrangement that both sides were happy with, which, to be honest, to me was a little bit of a surprise, because I didn't think there was going to be a meeting point between the family and John Paul, because they seemed so far apart, in what they believed. Because basically John Paul Miller blamed everything on Mica's family, and Mica's family felt it was all John Paul's fault. So somewhere along the line, they've met somewhere in the middle and they have come to an agreement. So legal proceedings aren't going any further. But I thought it'd be interesting to read this affidavit, which is very, very long. It's got a lot of exhibits in it. So I thought if we read it bit by bit, I'm going to do it in installments. I'll start reading it today, see how far I get. I'm probably thinking of doing about an hour in each installment. So we'll see how it goes. When it comes to a logical point to stop, I'll stop, and then we'll have part two. So this is part one, which is like the introduction. So what I'm going to do before I start is read out the original police announcement about this case, just to remind us of what happened. A lot of us have been interested in this case. We've been covering it for a long time. It's very sad because Mica seemed to have, times of great happiness. I love this photo of Mica. Let's have a look at it bigger, because I think she really was happy there. She was very, Mica had a lot of faith, let's say, and she became christened again, I believe, just before this photo was taken. I really do believe she looked so happy on that picture, the lovely sunset and the beach in the background. Unfortunately, she just could not keep up this happiness. There were a lot of drugs involved, legal drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. She'd been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, lots of different things, but they're going to come out anyway in this that I'm going to read out to you. But I do like that picture of Mica because I do feel that she truly looks happy there. And I hope wherever she is now, she is happy and at peace. Okay, so I just want to say thank you to everyone, my usual thank you, so I can take off the banner. Thank you for being a subscriber. If you are a subscriber, if you're not, please think about becoming a subscriber and maybe liking this video. It's absolutely free. And special thanks as always to my members. Tomorrow night is Members Live, Carry On Chatting Members Live. I'm looking forward to that. And we do, if you become a member, we do lives every Tuesday and Thursday nights that are exclusive, live streams that are exclusive to members. I also want to thank anybody who's PayPal'd me, anybody who has bought me a Ko-fi or sent a super sticker, sent me an email, left a nice message, or just contributed in my channel in any way, shape or form. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to say hello to everyone before I start. As I say, it's quite a long document this, so we'll just do it bit by bit. Hi Chumba, hi Daniel, hi Tracy. Thank you, Jojo. Thank you so much. Means a lot because it's been quite difficult lately, to be honest, but thank you. Okay, so let's have a look at, hi Mello, let's have a look at the original police release, if you like, from Robeson County. This was the media release they made on the 7th of May. This is actually not straight away after Mica died, but after the inquest ruling. And that's what caused a lot of speculation, if you like, because a lot of people did not believe that Mica had taken her own life. Now, I do think she did, to be honest, to be perfectly honest. But I do think that she drove herself to it. And I just feel for someone like Mica, that John Paul Miller, he was always going to win one way or another, because Mica's one of those people, she's too sensitive for this world. Okay, so this was a media release on May the 7th, 2024. A death investigation that has tugged on the hearts of people across the nation has been ruled a suicide. The decision was made on surveillance footage, interviews, physical evidence, and the examination of the North Carolina Medical Examiner's Office. Now, we looked at Mica's last day, didn't we? We watched the video that was everything that she did that day when she went to buy her gun, went for petrol, all the things she did that day. Mica's last day, we did cover all that. On Saturday, April the 27th, 2024, approximately 2:54 p.m., Robeson County E911 Communications Center received a 911 call from a female. The caller asked the dispatcher if her phone could be located because she was going to kill herself and she wanted her family to be able to find her body. During the conversation with the dispatcher, the caller hung up the phone and the dispatcher was unable to contact the caller. The dispatcher was able to find the location of the caller and dispatched a deputy to the location. The deputies contacted the Lumber River State Park superintendent upon their arrival. and they all conducted a search of the area for the victim. It was aided by a Robeson County Sheriff's Office drone. And during the investigation, a black Honda Accord with a South Carolina registration was located in the parking lot of the state park. The investigators confirmed that the vehicle belonged to Mica Miller, 30, of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. A 6-hour gun case was located in the passenger seat and a box of ammunition in the center console. They also found a receipt for the handgun from a pawn shop and a receipt from a convenience store in the vehicle. Both receipts were dated the same day of Mica's death. During the search of the park for the 911 caller, investigators were approached by an individual who had found a bag near the water edge with an identification belonging to Mica. The individual stated that he heard someone crying and a gunshot while he was fishing. Law enforcement continued the search, and the 911 received a call from an individual who stated that a body was located in the water. Law enforcement responded to the location and contacted the North Carolina Medical Examiner's Office upon locating the deceased. The victim was identified as Mica. A 6-hour 9mm handgun was located in the water at the crime scene during the search of the area. The serial number on the weapon matched the gun box that was found in Mica's Honda. Other personal belongings were located, and a search of her phone showed she conducted a Google search for national parks near me, and the Lumber River State Park location was provided. So the investigation also revealed that Mica and her estranged husband, John Paul Miller, had been separated, were involved in the legal system. This information led to the investigators confirming the whereabouts of Miller and a female, this is John Paul Miller, and a female that he is allegedly romantically involved with. Investigators were able to confirm that both individuals were not in North Carolina on the night before or the day of Mica's death. Investigators learned through interviews that John Paul Miller was at an athletic event in Charleston on the day of Mica Miller's death. John Miller's vehicle was observed traveling on the bypass in Horry County at 2:22 p.m. The investigation confirmed that he was accompanied while traveling to and from the event in Charleston. On Tuesday, May the 7th, Sheriff Bernice Wilkins, investigators and the medical examiner met with the parents and immediate family members of Mica Miller. John Paul Miller was given the opportunity to attend a separate meeting, and Miller indicated through his attorney he would not come to North Carolina to meet with the investigators. I didn't know you could refuse, to be honest. If the police tell you, ask you to come along, how can you refuse? Investigators conducted several interviews and developed a timeline of events in relation to Mica's death on the 27th of April 2024. At 11 a.m. she was up. Now, we watched all this in a video. At 11 a.m. Mica was observed on her Ring camera arriving at her residence. 11:38 a.m. she was observed on her Ring camera leaving her residence. Remember, she was dressed to go to work because she worked, didn't she, in a like a restaurant, cafeteria type place. She was dressed to go to work, but she didn't go to work. She went to the pawn shop. So 12:12 p.m. she's observed on store surveillance walking into the Dick's pawn shop, which is located. Well, we don't have to say about where it's located. 12:13 she's observed at the register and initiates the purchase of a weapon. 12:34, she's observed leaving the shop after purchasing a weapon and ammunition. At 1:06, her black Honda is observed travelling on the 501 near 4 Mile Road, Conway, South Carolina. 1:27 p.m. it's observed arriving at the grocery and grill. 1:35 p.m. Mica is observed leaving the store after purchasing a drink and gas. 2:54 p.m. she called the Robeson County from Lumber River State Park. Call included below. First, let me say on behalf of the Robeson County Sheriff's Office that our sincere condolences are being sent to the family and friends of Mica. The incident has garnered much attention from across the Carolinas and beyond, yet all over the world. I want to assure everyone that a very methodical investigation was conducted by our team. Unfortunately, rumours and conspiracy theories were spreading quickly and assumptions were being made. However, in the end, we must make decisions based on the facts and evidence that has been gathered. While I know it's not what many people wanted to hear, the evidence is quite clear and compelling, and we are as saddened as anyone that this has occurred. There are many factors we have reviewed that occurred over an extended period of time that are probably related to the reason for this investigation, but in the end, sadly, a tragic decision was made by Mica that ended her life. And of course, they've added, that was her car seen driving there. Mica leaving her home on that last day, Mica's last day, so in her work uniform. Mica going into the pawn shop to buy a gun. This is where I believe she, this is her location on her phone. Southport, this bloody Southport keeps popping up, doesn't it? So it was Southport, of course, where the 3 little girls were murdered in the stabbing incident in the UK. We did something to Southport in Australia or nearby where the young girl was murdered by a mum. Why does Southport keep popping up? Anyway, so this was Mica, that's her car, that's her going into the what's that?
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
This is the 911 call.
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
In National Park.
What's the phone number you're calling me from?
843-655-5242.
Where's the park located at?
In Fair Bluff.
Let's see.
I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find my phone is on. I just did my my location.
Okay.
Like she sounds like quite out of it, doesn't she? You know, she's, I mean, it's good that she rang to give her location so that her family could identify her quickly, but it's so very sad. She just like already sounds like she's not really in this world.
I'm showing, hold on one second. don't think you are in Robeson County. Yeah, the Lumber River State Park. In
Yeah, that's where I am.
okay. Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
So now I think there was a bit more to that call, or maybe another call, or maybe they couldn't get through to her. But that's all that the police released, and very sad. Hope it hasn't sort of triggered anybody. All through this case, just to let you know, because at the end of the day, we're talking about a woman who deleted herself. So there's going to be, there's a trigger warning through the whole of this video, because it's also the affidavit of John Paul that I'm going to read out. It talks about Mica's problems, and you'll get angry as well, because some of it you just know it's not as much her problems as his problems. But anyway, that's what we're going to read out. That's what I'm going to read out. So, as I say, it's a very, very long document, about 130 pages. And I mean, I haven't even managed to read all of it yet. I've read the first part because I'm thinking I will get through the first part with you in this first installment. But some of the, I just sort of scan read it. So some of the things would be more or less reading together for the first time. So this is John Paul's affidavit. So this is what he presented in this court case. Mica's family initiated court proceedings against him to remove him and appoint him to remove him as special administrator, or is it to no special administrator? So is this him trying to remove Sierra as the special administrator for the estate of Mica? Yeah. Petitioner John Paul Miller, by and through his undersigned attorneys, hereby submits this memorandum in support of his motion to remove special administrator and appoint the petitioner as personal representative. And this motion is based on the following grounds. So there's been this real war of attrition between John Paul and Mica's family. Instead of, because he did something, because he was still married to her. So the unfortunate thing is that although Mica had already presented divorce papers, sued for divorce just a couple of days before, she was still his wife. So legally, he did have the right to go and ask, for the body or for her personal possessions, etc. Because they were in effect still married, even though she'd sued for divorce. So it's very complicated, isn't it? Anyway, the respondent, in the memorandum in support of application for the appointment of special administrator filed on May the 3rd, the respondent intentionally misrepresented and or misstated certain material facts in order to be appointed in lieu of the descendant's husband. So this is what he's saying. So he's saying that Sierra became the special administrator by misrepresenting and misstating certain facts so that she would become the administrator instead of him. He stated that Mica Miller, the respondent, so Sierra, stated that Mica Miller passed away under suspicious circumstances. So what he is saying, or what his lawyer is saying, while unbearably tragic, the decedent's death by suicide was not in any way suspicious, and the cause of death has been known to the respondent, her family, and their followers since April the 28th. Her death has been thoroughly investigated and officially ruled to be a suicide, which is true, to be fair, confirming what has been known from the beginning. And the petitioner has been cleared of any involvement. And he has been cleared of any involvement. The trouble is, the only thing really in my eyes he could maybe have been charged for is like this sort of death by manslaughter because of the stalking, etc. We have a law in the UK now. There is a law about, people can be charged with that. I don't know about in America. But he has been cleared of any involvement, as has everyone and anyone beyond the decedent herself. And he attaches the media release that I've just read out as Exhibit A. Also, most of the statements in the affidavits in support of respondent's application for the appointment of special administrator are based on hearsay and or conjecture. Almost all of the insinuations in the affidavits have been dispelled by the ensuing law enforcement investigations. Exhibit F. Now, we will look at the exhibits, but not now. I'm just going to read out. We'll plod through this bit by bit in installments. Exhibit F, in support of the application, which is simply the unfounded position of an individual without any evidential finding, is not applicable as the referenced order of protection was never pursued or granted. On or about April the 27th, at approximately 2:54, the decedent contacted 911 and told the dispatcher she planned to commit suicide. She was found, I shouldn't keep saying that word, YouTube will be on me like a ton of bricks. Decedent was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head on April the 27th, 2024 at approximately 4:23. Upon information and belief, respondent was aware of the findings of Robeson County Sheriff's Office prior to filling the application for appointment of special administrator. On or about April the 28th, 2024, the respondent and other members of the Francis family attended a meeting with RCSO personnel to discuss the findings of the investigation pertaining to the death of the descendant. The petitioner sought to be appointed special administrator inter alia, whatever that means, to preserve the decedent's interest in the estate and to attempt to find blame with the petitioner. Such attempts are now entering into their third month, have gone unfounded, and have been dispelled completely. Any such basis for respondent's appointment as special administrator is now moot, as decedent's interest is protected and preserved by the petitioner, who is the decedent's surviving husband and sole interstate heir under the law of South Carolina. It's a shame that she was still married to him, because he has a case. Whether you agree with it morally or not, he has a case legally, doesn't he? He does. so you can't get away from it, really. He is her husband. So let's carry on with what we're doing. So he does have the right. It's clear from the affidavit of the petitioner that the decedent long suffered from mental illness, suicidal tendencies, homicidal tendencies, and other mental wellness concerns, of which the Horry County Probate Court is aware of, based on the decedent's prior appearances within the said court. Affidavit attached of petitioner Exhibit B. As I say, we're not going to look at the exhibits today. We're going to focus on what I'm reading out, but we will as time goes on in other installments, because as I say, this is just massive. You just couldn't possibly do it all in one video. Unfortunately, misunderstandings, insinuations, and misinformation related to decedent's death have caused great harm to the petitioner. Oh, poor him. Gosh, he does like to feel sorry for himself, old JP, doesn't he? He loves to feel sorry for himself. The husband of the decedent, the church he led, the church school, other staff and attendees of the said church, and anyone else the defamatory rhetoric reached, based on nothing more than an unfounded attempt to blame the petitioner for the decedent's death. So basically what he's saying is it's like a witch hunt against him, isn't it? And it sort of is. But the reasons are because, if your family member died, and you knew that this person had done certain things to your family member, whether they'd killed them or whether they'd done it to themselves, you'd be pretty angry, wouldn't you? The effects of the special administrator's actions have depleted the estate's assets and caused harm to potential beneficiaries, despite not being based on one piece of admissible evidence demonstrating any wrongdoing by anyone. Since the respondent's appointment as special administrator, the petitioner filed his petition to be appointed personal representative of the decedent's estate. The decedent died intestate, and as mentioned above, the petitioner is the decedent's surviving spouse and sole intestate heir. And unfortunately, as I say, whether you believe in it morally or you don't believe in it, as far as the law is concerned, that is true. They're still married, or they were still married. As such, the petitioner is best situated to represent the interests of the estate, and the services of special administrator are no longer required. So he should be doing it all according to him. Now, there must be some truth in this, because otherwise the family would not have come to an agreement with him. So whatever happened there in that courtroom, the family's lawyers have said to him, look, unfortunately, as I say, it doesn't matter whether you agree with it or not. What matters is that is the law. The respondent stated that the petitioner's potential exclusion from benefiting from the decedent's estate, and then the code section, as additional support for the appointment of a special administrator, arguing that it would be improvident to give petitioner control over the decedent's estate. However, the aforementioned code section prohibits an individual who feloniously and intentionally kills the decedent from benefiting from a decedent's estate. The decedent's death has been ruled a suicide, and the petitioner has been cleared of any involvement. There is therefore no basis under the applicable code section to prevent the petitioner from benefiting from the estate or serving as the personal representative. The petitioner has priority for appointment as personal representative pursuant to the code section blah de blah de blah. Petitioner has not been disqualified. The decedent died intestate, so there are no devisees, and the petitioner is the surviving spouse and sole intestate heir. He therefore has priority for appointment as personal representative over the respondent, who is a surviving sibling of the decedent. Further, during the decedent's lifetime, the respondent was asked by the decedent to refrain from contacting her. So what he's saying is that Sierra, Mica's sister, was asked by Mica herself to refrain from contacting her and the petitioner. See the record of the text message from the decedent to respondent attached here as Exhibit C. Well, that may well be true, because it seems like there were a lot of, because Mica, she left John Paul, then she went back to him a few times, I believe. So probably at times when she was trying to make it work with him, because Mica believed in marriage, that once you were married, that was it. She didn't believe in divorce. So she probably tried to make a go of it with John Paul, and also he's very good at manipulating around again, love bombing her, buying her things, giving her money. And I'm sure that at some time under his influence, Mica has told her sister she doesn't want to see her again, or don't contact me anymore, or I think that's quite common in sort of cases where there's domestic abuse. Quite often happens, doesn't it, that the person who's being abused splits up from the abuser, goes and tells the family all the terrible things they've done. Family get indignant and hate them, and then they go back to them. It happens all the time, unfortunately, for many reasons. Maybe because there's children involved, maybe because they're still in love with them, maybe because of financial reasons. There's loads of reasons why that happens. And unfortunately, then the family are sort of left a bit with egg on the face, because they've, flown their colours to the mast supporting their family member. And then he'd hate them then, because he knew that they hated him. And he'd be like to Mica, no, you can just imagine it. You can just imagine it. Unfortunately, I think that does happen quite a lot, to be honest. So, let's carry on. So, while there may be conflicting allegations concerning the treatment of the decedent by many friends and family members during her lifetime, there is no evidentially admissible basis to find that the respondent will act in the best interests of the estate of the decedent, and that the petitioner will not. Further, as sole intestate heir, should the petitioner act contrary to the interests of the estate, he would be acting contrary to his own interests. For the reasons stated above, the petitioner respectfully requests this court to remove the respondent as special administrator for the estate of Mica Miller or Francis, and appoint the petitioner as personal representative of the estate of Mica Miller. So that's the basis of the case, or his reply to their case, etc. So this here, actually then, this is the media release that I've just read out, so I'm not going to read that again, because I just read that out before we started. Yeah, we just read all that out. Now, this, I did have a little look through this earlier, and this is quite upsetting, I think. We'll read through this and then I'm going to finish for this installment. So this is Exhibit B. This is his affidavit, part of his affidavit. So he says, number one, Mica grew up in an unstable home with about 10 step-parents in total. Now that's a big claim, isn't it? She lived with people unrelated to her for many years of her life before turning 18 due to problems with her mother. And then Exhibit A. We'll look at those another time. Number two, Mica and I married at the end of 2017. On December the 1st, 2017, she decided to have an elective surgery, Exhibit B. Actually, I think we'll look at that because I want to show you that. That's important. Now, he says she decided, let's see. So this is Exhibit A. So let's just go, so we'll look at Exhibit A. So this is apparently the issues that she had with her mother. And she said, if this is true, I am very, very lucky to have found a female that I'm okay with, considering my issues with women and basically being molested by my own mother. So yes, we both have deep issues with the same sex. I was willing to compromise and go without you. You've given no compromise. I'm just not sure who she's talking to there. Find your man, go talk to him, and if you like him, I'll come along and listen. Even though it brings me anxiety, stress, pain, and more. But I'm going to do it because you fought so hard to have that, even when I told you what the result would be. If you really wanted a man and we're not okay with a woman. Oh, so because they did have some, yeah, oh dear. They did have some relations, let's say, didn't they, with other people in their relationship. Why is he presenting all this? It's like he's trying to make Mica look bad. So Exhibit B that he was talking about, that she voluntarily, according to him, voluntarily, she wanted, not him, breast augmentation, a breast implant or 2 breast implants. And then, of course, they had to pay for the operation room and the anesthesia. And in total, that cost $5,300. So it just makes you wonder who paid for it. So he's saying this is what she wants. What he's trying to present here with all these exhibits, if you like, he's trying to make her look bad, and he's trying to say it was they were all her idea. But the thing is, we don't have Mica's side of the story, do we? We don't have Mica's side of the story. Let's go back up now to the top. So these are all the things he's saying. So she decided to have elective surgery, Exhibit B, so that's the breast implants. When she awoke, the doctors informed me she was having a psychotic episode. Mica began writing undecipherable emails on December the 15th, Exhibit C. We'll have to go back down to that in a moment. The doctor put her in a mental hospital. What, after having breast implants? She was discharged and then readmitted. because her sisters convinced her to stop taking her prescribed medicine. So it's all the sisters' fault. The doctors then prescribed lithium, olanzapine, lamotrigine, Seroquel, and other medications over the years. What's going on with all these medications everybody's on? I was struck with that in the Madeline Soto case. So you've got Stefan Stearns on a load of medications, Jen Soto on a load of medications, and even little Madeline at 13 years old is already on medications. Anyway, and does it really make people better? I don't know that it does, but I don't know. So lithium has always been the best and most consistent. She's been diagnosed many times, but the three that are always consistent are schizophrenia, bipolar 2 with severe psychosis, and dependent personality disorder. I think she definitely did have that. And you know what? This is it. It's like I think with Jen Soto and Stefan Stearns, people like John Paul Miller, people like Stefan Stearns, they can see people, they know who is vulnerable to their, most people would not put up with John Paul Miller. Most women, older women, because of course, Mica was a lot younger than him as well. He couldn't cope with a real woman. Well, I don't know what his partner at the moment, what she's like, but maybe she's a different kettle of fish. But it feels like he sort of knew that Mica could be easily manipulated, just as I personally think Stefan Stearns thought that Jen could be easily manipulated. I just think sometimes not only men but women as well who are narcissists, they can spot their ideal partner a mile off because they can manipulate them easily. So her medical records are mainly the Waccamaw Mental Health Lighthouse, Grand Strand Hospital and Mental Health Facility, and McLeod Hospital. So let's have a look at Exhibit C to see what these incoherent emails were. See, the thing is, if they're emails, do we even know that she wrote them? Let's see. Gosh. They do look a little bit rambling. If it was her, of course. So he's written an email so this is December the 15th, 2017. Oh, who's it? I don't know who it's to. Okay, we really have to help Mica. I told you before, you two can work on things. She has to get well by seeing a psychiatrist. She has since sent me this text, which you can tell is like her talking right now. Not sure if you can talk to her family, but she needs help as soon as possible. I would consider this a major manic episode. I'm worried about her because if her mind, thoughts and energy continues like this, she is going to crash so hard. She doesn't need sleep, she's not eating, and her mind is not stopping. She cannot help this, but we have to get her help. I will help in any way I can. I care about both of you, but this is not healthy. I've never seen her like this. I thought listening would help her, but the mania is at a point it cannot be controlled. I am praying. This text starts off because she called me after she went home and I didn't have my ringer on. No worries, that was meant to be. Obviously God, so this is supposedly what Mica wrote. Obviously, God doesn't want you to know the final because you play a major role, good and bad, but this time you fill in the blank with whatever God is speaking to you right now. Let's just say you're about to come into a large sum of. Keep in mind that knowledge is the most valuable thing that God has, and we cannot know it all. That's why it was bad that Adam and Eve, me and JP, eat from it. Now, one thing I would like to say is the videos that Mica made that we watched of Facebook videos that she put on Facebook, they weren't like this. So we don't really know, do we, that Mica even wrote this? But I mean, it does seem maybe if she was on medications at the time. I have to say, I've seen similar texts from people that were suffering from bipolar. But we don't know that this is Mica, or what we don't know the context of it. Had she been on too much medication? Was he given a medication? The trouble is, you just don't know, and Mica is not here to give her side of the story. This is what sort of upsets me the most is it's all right them saying what's the word? It's all right him saying, this is her and that, but we don't know, do we? And it's certainly nothing like the videos I've seen. Hi and bye, Nanny L. No, I have a real worry about this, not knowing the context of it. That's why me and JP's wedding is the perfect blend of honour for the past, and for some reason God put it on my heart to have the flag presented at my wedding and stream live at 3 different angles and angels, but yet one live feed that you can flow between. Everyone ridiculed me, saying the Pledge of Allegiance was out of place, but again everything is opposite. And we just learned how to share our unity with the world. And God gave me and JP the tools to make video of that. It's very rambling, isn't it? Very rambling. So Jesus spoke in parables, remember. Then it all has to be complete by the new year to pave the way for his kids and my siblings to work together to build the temple. But someone, the prodigal and the adopted orphan, the forgotten, must come home and be found. And I will have a non-virgin birth because me and JP just had sex 2 nights ago and Christmas is 10 days ago. 10 days away. The 12th eye of Christmas, which the Jews called Hanukkah, which means unity. So JP and I must light 6 and 6, and God will light the 7th, making 13. Do you know what? To be honest, sounds more like it, because when I've watched his sermons, he talks a bit like this. But, maybe it was Mica, which is Friday the 13th. So a day that we see as negative will become positive. God made me and JP unify on Sunday, which is the first time we've had sex since the boob job. But I was given Loki, the god of mischief, so backwards would be the servant of order. I was this time. It will be imperfect. The imperfect, still innocent, white baby symbol of the baby Jesus. Okay. Gosh, I feel like I don't want to read all this out because it's there's a lot of it for a start, but also it is very rambling. So the important thing is rest. We all return back to a deep slumber after the battle is won, and then we will rest in the shadow of the Almighty under his wings, and then let eternity and the new creation of other planets begin. Amen. What do you think about that? I mean, I don't know, but I feel like he might have written that. But of course, I don't know. It's just that the only thing I know about Mica, because I didn't know her as a person, all I know about Mica are the things that I've seen on her Facebook posts, the recordings that she's made, and none of them were like this. But that doesn't mean to say she didn't do it, I suppose. She could have been psychotic. She could have been on too many she could have been on too much medication. She's talking about going to counselling. Well, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Before the next video, the next part of this, I'm going to look over that and pick out some bits that, I don't want to read the whole thing. It's just, what makes me really, really angry though, is that Mica cannot defend herself. So there's a lot more to it than this. So he's going to come out with all these different things, casting aspersions on Mica and her mental state and this, that, and the other. But everything he says, we don't. Well, he's supplying these exhibits, but I don't know, an email. Can you really be sure he was on all her computers and things? How can we be sure that it was Mica that sent those emails? Anyway, in December the 22nd, 2017, while Mica was back in the mental institute, I gathered wisdom from professionals on how to take care of her. I emailed her about the details of the event because she wasn't in her right mind. Exhibit J. We'll look at that the next time. I'm going to finish soon because I've got classes. I began attending support groups for mental illness with and without her Exhibit K. These are all medications. Once again, I wrote her an email about the events happening while she was in the hospital. We'll look at that next time. Exhibit L. I emailed my coach with an update on Mica, explaining that I would need to take care of her every day for the rest of her life. Exhibit M. And there you go. That's what it comes down to, isn't it? He's controlling her. He has to take care of her every day for the rest of her life. Anyway, I've got to go because I've got quite a few classes this afternoon, but I'll be back soon with the second installment. Take care. Have a nice day. Thanks for being here with me. Mica, I hope you're at peace. I just hope you're at peace. May your God go with you, all of you. Thank you.